Hello students, welcome for understanding matter around us. I welcome you for the session 2. In previous session we have studied about matter around us, its types, mixture and types of mixture. Along with that we have studied about the different types of colloid mixture and Tyndall effect etc. In this session, we are going to study about the different methods of separation of components of mixture. Now, first of all, let's understand why separation of components of mixture is necessary. So here students, when we think about need of separation, it says that separation makes it possible to study and use the individual components of a mixture. Means here, if we are having a mixture of salt water, then if we separate salt and water from each other, then we are able to use salt separately for different another uses and water differently for another uses. So that's why separation is necessary. Previously, we have studied many simple methods like physical methods for separation of component of mixture. For example, hand picking, we are having sieving, along with that we have studied about filtration. But sometimes for the separation of components of mixture, we need some special techniques used. Okay, students. Now, few special techniques we have studied already. For example, students, here we are having process of decantation in which we can separate the sediment particles from the solution. Then we are having next method which is called as evaporation in which we can separate the water from its solution and we can get the substance dissolved. In this way, evaporation is utilized. Then we have studied about sedimentation in which we are keeping the given solution or mixture very undisturbed, very steady and insoluble components will get down settled at the bottom. Then we are having next method that is called as filtration in which we are using filter paper for the filtering the substance and we are getting the clear filtrate, and all this method we have studied in previous classes. Now students, we are going to study few more methods with the help of which we can separate the components of mixture. Now let's go ahead. Here students, we are having first method for separation of mixture of components, and that is by using separating funnels. Here we are having some presentation with the help of which we will understand this technique. You can see here one separating funnel is present over here. This is a separating funnel, and in this funnel we are having one cork which will allow substances of this funnel to come down. Now here students, we are having mixture of oil, sorry, olive oil and water. Now when we are going to mix olive oil and water, both are having different density. As water is having more density, it will settle down at the bottom of this separating funnel and olive oil will be on the top of it. So here, when we are starting this cork, the water will start to come down. The moment this level of separation comes to the cork, we are going to stop it. And in this way, we can separate the two immiscible liquids. Students, here you have to remember that immiscible liquids means which are not going to mix with each other. They can't get uniformly mixed with each other. So that time we can use separating funnels for the separation of these two immiscible liquids. So here we have studied the first method, that is use of separatory funnel for the separation of component of mixture. Here you can get question on this and you have to answer very nicely that separatory funnel is used for the separation of two immiscible liquids. Now students, we are moving further. Here we are having next method of separation of components, that is called as sublimation. Here when we say sublimation, it is used to separate such mixtures in which we are having one sublimable compound and other non-sublimable impurity. So here suppose we are having mixture of some sand particles and camphor. So what that time we will do? We will use such machineries for the sublimation. Here we are having one clay pot kept on one stove, and this clay pot is having our sand and camphor mixture in it. We are taking one funnel and keeping inverted on this clay pot, and we are closing its open end with the help of cotton, and then with the help of this gas and tripod stand we are going to heat this clay pot. After some time, the evaporating substance or sublimable substance, that is camphor, will get evaporated as it directly gets converted into the gaseous format, and then it will get stored at the funnel's upper portion. So in this way, sand will remain in the clay pot and camphor will get collected separately in the funnel. So in this way, we are using sublimation method to separate a sublimable volatile component from its mixture. Now students, we will move ahead. Here we are having centrifugation method. In this method, we are separating components of colloidal solution. In previous session, we have studied about the colloidal solution. Milk, blood, they are the example of colloidal solution. Now students, in centrifugation, what do we do? In centrifugation is a machine in which we are having a central axis, and around this central axis we can keep our colloidal solution filled up in the test tubes. Then this machine will move very fast speed around this central axis, and then because of this moving, because of centrifugation, the components of this colloidal solution which are in solid format, they will get deposited at the bottom and liquid portion will be on top of it. Both are going to get separated. So in this way, with the help of centrifugation, we are going to separate components of colloidal solution. Here you have to remember, in colloidal solution its components are mixed with each other in suspended form. So we have suspended forms or the suspended particles we have separated in the solid precipitate format. Now students, let's move to next method. Next method is chromatography. We know in daily use we are using ink. So that ink is made up by the dissolving some colors or dyes into water. We know ink can be of blue color, black color, pink color, red color. There are so many dye colors are there. Now, when we are going to use chromatography, here we use paper chromatography, in which we are having one paper strip and we make one point on this paper strip at its bottom. And when we are making a paper strip at its bottom, we are making one dot like structure here, and we are putting the drops of ink on it, and then we are dipping this solution into particular chemical solvents, and then we can get the different shades of ink or dye present in it, and we can separate them from each other. Here you can see there are four different types of dyes are there that we can separate from each other. So student, this is the method of chromatography by which we can separate the dye from ink. Now dear students, let's move ahead towards the next process of crystallization. Here crystallization helps us to separate the components of a mixture like salt water, sugar water, etc. Here we are having this total unit or machineries for the process of crystallization. Sorry students, here we have taken the solution of salt water in one beaker and we are evaporating it with the help of heating, with the help of this gas. Now after evaporation most of the liquid quantity will get evaporated and very hot saturated solution will remain. That hot saturated solution, with the help of filter paper, we are filtering it, and this filtered solution we will keep in a dish so that whatever remaining water quantity is present in this saturated solution will get evaporated and we will get crystals of soluble solid, that is salt, in this dish. So in this way we are using evaporation method, we are using filtration method, and along with that we are using crystallization process to get salt from salt water or some solid substance which is dissolved in water. This was the crystallization process. Now, let's move towards the next process or method of separation, that is called as distillation. We already have studied one method for separation of two immiscible liquids, but that was dependent upon the density of the substance. Here, we are going to study about the distillation by using temperature of two substances. Here, each and every liquid is having its own boiling point at which they will get converted into the vapor. So, we are going to heat the immiscible liquids and we will check the temperature of these liquids. At a particular temperature, that substance is going to get evaporated and that vapor we are passing through a condenser and it will get again converted into liquid and we are going to collect it. Sometimes we can have different liquids. For example, we can have water which is having 100 degrees centigrade temperature at which it will get boiled, while we can have some other substance like alcohol or something else which is having boiling temperature less than 100 degree. So we can use this temperature and at a particular temperature we can collect the fluid or liquid with the help of this distillation method. Now students, there is one more and I think last technique which is called as fractional distillation. Don't get afraid by seeing this complicated diagram. Here we are going to separate the components of gases. It is a critical process. You don't have to go much detailed in it. You just have to remember that we are going to separate the component of gases, mixture of gases, by this fractional distillation method. Here you can see we are going to separate components of gases or components of air in the form of gases. So here fractional distillation is used for this method. So dear students, we have studied different methods for the separation of components of mixture. Here the list of all the methods is there along with the applications of these methods. So here you can pause the video and you can write down that separating funnel is used for the separation of two immiscible liquids, or you can write down that distillation is used for the separation of immiscible liquids. So here students, we have studied about different methods of the separation of components of mixture. Thank you for being patient and take care until the next session. Thank you.